duller, and then it's the actual voice. Because it's going around the microphone and bouncing off the pop filter you're not using.
Well, let's fuck this monkey because I want to go to bed.
Say that. Could you say that into the microphone? Yeah, buddy. Speaking of fucking monkeys, this is the story of Jeff
Mike's
Boiler.
Mouth's voice.
No, Jeff Boiler. Do you know who Jeff Boiler is?
Not a clue.
All right. Well,
I never heard of her.
I'm going to assume it's different from Jeff Not Boiled.
I have no jokes for that.
Is
it
it like
wasn't-
hot dog water or is it Jeff water?
All right, so this is the story of Jeff Boiler. Now, Jeff Boiler is a man.
Are you
who
sure?
Moved to the state of Oregon, and now we're going to discuss a terrifying experience that he had up in the Oregon woods.
Wow, ghosts.
No,
Okay.
West Side.
in the woods, bro. Alright.
Hippies.
So it's
Bigfoot.
1997. Yeah, we'll find out, won't we? Year's 1997. In a remote area of the Cascade Mountains in the state of Oregon, Jeff Boiler is being pursued. Night has begun to fall in the
By a
thick
predator?
woods.
Like sexual?
No, I mean,
By a suiter? Sexual?
but night has begun to fall in the thick
Consenting
woods.
animal?
Yeah, oh,
Oh,
no.
God.
Good lord. Anyway, night has begun to fall in the thick woods, and he knows he doesn't have much time. The crashing is getting closer, and his vehicle is still not in sight. Now, normally Jeff Boiler
Did you
wasn't
forget where he
running-
parked?
Well, I mean, yeah, we'll get into that.
Does this take place in a remote Oregon Walmart parking lot?
Nope, but it does happen in a remote area of the Cascade Mountains.
Pre-GPS.
Yeah, it is. This is 1997.
Well, that's not pre-GPS.
I mean,
it's
okay.
pre-commonplace GPS.
Yeah,
but
this man
That's
is
had one of those little
pre-GPS.
crappy Garmin things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the like hunting fat one.
How was your birthday?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, tell us about your birthday.
You were there.
Remind Jesse of your birthday through the eyes of
Pretty
you.
good. I always do drunk.
Where'd you go?
Here.
Oh, nice.
That chair, exactly.
What'd you do? How about that? I want to know what Jesse
I went
did.
to a party
Yeah,
in my apartment complex.
in your apartment complex.
Yeah.
Those like ones that look like Harry Potter house. It's
I
kind of like
guess.
it's the stone, I guess, that makes me think
Yeah.
of that. Was it? Did you know the people? Was it just
Yeah.
like it was like a.
Yeah, met a lot of people there. Like hot tubbing and shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, swinger parties.
Yeah.
Whose keys did you get?
Whose keys?
Yeah.
Mine.
So you had to fuck
Lose.
yourself.
Everybody else is going home with each other, and Jesse's just like, I guess it's back to the room.
He's just like, well, I got enough.
Tell us about Jeff Boiled Water.
All right, so
Oregon,
all right, this is
1977.
Jeff Boiler. Now, normally Jeff Boiler wasn't running for his life through the woods, and
Oh,
that
really?
day,
That's astonishing.
that day had started out both as bright and beautiful. Jeff, having recently
was that just because it was
relocated,
the daytime before the nighttime?
yeah. Well, now it's okay. So I don't even know. This whole thing has just been. Let's get into it, okay?
1977.
1977.
Oregon. The scene is
Who
set.
cares?
Yes. Jeff, having recently relocated and taken a job in as a Wasco County Sheriff's deputy, had just gotten off work early that day. So Jeff had been I believe, a police officer as well as a active duty U.S. Marine back in the 90s. He then moved to Oregon, where he got a job with one of his guys who had recommended him a position out there. So he goes out to, as I said, the Wasco County Sheriff's Office as a deputy, and so he's gotten off work, apparently. So being young and fit and having finished up an active duty in the U.S. Marine Corps, Jeff planned on going and taking a rare opportunity to hike. The area he was specifically trying to access was actually a burial site of a friend of his near something called Tam MacArthur Rim. So he wants to go out to this area. He's just gotten off work. It's apparently, I think it was probably like around noon. He's already out in the wilderness, I guess Wasco County's, pretty up there in the...
Cascadian Mountains.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably know a lot about that, don't you, Truman?
No, not my state.
Not your state? But I mean, like, out of all of them, you think the Cascades are pretty...
Never been.
Yeah? You ever been to Oregon? Or
Not my state. Never been.
have you ever left Colorado, I guess?
That's true.
What? Have you left Colorado? It's a question.
Yes, that is true.
What is this, like, state denial?
I only have loyalty to Colorado.
So, in an interview, he confessed how that day had been one of the prettiest he'd ever seen in the Cascade Mountains. So, parking at the trailhead, Jeff began the challenging trek up into the mountains. So, initially, he intended on visiting that gravesite, right? But having been in the Marines and avid outdoorsman, he decides that he's going to start diverting and do whatever he wants. And he starts going up in elevation, kind of over some more rocky terrain. He's not following the trail anymore.
As you say, sounds like he's off trail.
And that's just, and part of it's because, he's an outdoors guy.
Because you
He's
can't
like,
run into non-existent things on trail. It's too easy.
He was
to prove
free balling?
things.
Yeah.
He was free balling. He's trailblazing.
Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you're wearing that Eddie Bauer jacket. You're no stranger to some trailblazing.
Yeah, the outdoors.
That's the equivalent of a Patagonia jacket. That shit has seen a trail outside of Boulder, maybe.
It's like as I walked out the door.
It's actually pretty new.
All right,
Tell me
ladies and
about
gentlemen.
Jeff and
Okay.
his shitty opinion.
Whoa, buddy.
Trailblazer.
Whoa. And you don't even know what's gonna happen to poor Jim.
He's
Jeff.
trailblazer. That's never good.
Jim.
Chevy wasn't
What does
invented
happen
yet.
to poor Jim? Where's our second character coming?
All right. Anyway, yeah. So he intended to visit that grave, but now he's gone off trail, and he's just kind of following this stream up the hill, up this rugged mountain.
You know, water doesn't flow uphill.
No, but he's following it as it comes down the hill.
He's having a head-on collision with the water.
So after a couple hours, he's just walking up this, thing, and he says that it was about 2 hours. Jeff noted that the terrain was becoming much harsher, so he stopped to get out his map and compass, just found a spot along the creek and started trying to take headings, basically. He recalled trying to take the measurement through his compass, and just past where he had oriented the compass, he'd kind of come to, if you've seen, I had somewhere... Well, not on this, but I had a bunch of pictures of the Cascades, and you can kind of see where there'd be like, some like hills where, what do you call it? Like where there's like exposed.
They're called mountains.
It's more like a cliff. There's like a cliff.
Oh, an outcrop. A rock
yeah,
outcrop.
exactly. So there's an outcrop.
Heavily
above him.
vegetated, though, because it's the Northwest.
Yeah, so he's sitting there and he's taking this heading, and above him, maybe 20 feet up is a outcropping of some kind, and he sees something kind of peering out from
Did he
behind.
use Times New Roman?
Taking the
paper
heading.
heading.
Jesus. Sorry, man. Actually, no, I don't apologize. You apologize to me.
That's hilarious.
It's actually pretty on the nose.
Just past where he was orientating the compass, he could make out a person peering at him from around a boulder. Of course, his first thought was why another hiker would be this far off trail, and then he
This
realized...
is my part of the woods that I found. Get out of here.
This is my one stream.
Yeah. He was just wondering why somebody was up this far, and he realized that person was only human in shape. And
Been up the stream longer.
And when Jeff locked eyes with the creature, he actually inadvertently cocked his head to the side, kind of in confusion a little bit, and the creature sort of stepped out and then mirrored that motion. At this point, he's kind of looking at the thing, and he notes that all he sees right now is like long hair. He sees two spaces for the eyes, and it looks like it's human in form and figure, essentially.
You said this was filmed in 77, right?
This was 97.
97.
And it wasn't filmed.
It's an account.
That'd mean there'd be evidence.
Oh,
Well, Perry and the Hendersons, right?
so he was seeing what people would classically report as a Bigfoot. Now, slightly taken aback by what he sees, he kind of reaches back, and so he was a sheriff's deputy. He apparently that day had been carrying his service arm with him, and so he kind of reaches back, but it's clasped in his holster, I guess, from what he was saying. And so he's reaching back, trying to get a hold of it, and he kind of has to look away. And as he does, the thing takes off at the time.
I know when I see something human-like in the woods as a cop, my first thought is I got to shoot this thing.
I mean,
I do it all the time.
That wasn't his first thought either. He kind of was confused. He saw it
Were
step
you in
out.
his head?
I got it. We got an account of
He
what
can
he
sure
thinks.
tell you his first thought, but if within that first minute of I saw something human-like, I better get the gun.
I mean, wouldn't you? If you see something that's
80s,
that big,
90s, yeah.
that big, that hairy, and you're like, man, this thing is, at least because he said, it was like 8 feet tall.
Pat, what do you think when you see something big and hairy?
In the middle of the woods.
And thick.
I have to shoot it. Or else it'll kill me. I'm like 5'7", 135 pounds, soaking wet.
I'd never be able to confidently identify something I couldn't fully identify at 20 feet off up into the air on an outcropping and then determine I needed to shoot it that
I
quick.
agree.
That's,
Especially if the sun's behind it.
You're just saying.
They sure do provide very specific training to officers up
I
in
guess
Oregon.
we should specify, Truman, that we don't know what direction the sun was.
Well, you said noon, and if the outcrop is above his head,
Well, this would
then
be
the
about
sun's behind
2
him.
p.m. at this point because he's been walking off trail.
What
he
was
got
that
off.
heading he tried forever to get?
Well, he tried to get the heading, and then he was too busy.
Then he
looking
had to get gun.
Yeah, so I mean, he was worried because you see a Bigfoot
heading
out
was
there. What are you
barrel.
gonna do?
You see a Bigfoot out there. What are you going to do? Go, oh,
Go
okay,
chase
that
it.
wasn't a Bigfoot.
So Jeff saw this thing basically take off with what he said was impossible speed, and this man-like
That's one of my
creature
favorite descriptors.
continued up that ledge.
Sure seems possible.
Now-
It's happening.
Now, bear in mind, Jeff was surrounded by rough terrain and bluffs, but he wanted to see where this thing had gone. So he ended up scaling that 20-foot hill, and abandoning the plans of the day, Jeff continued going in that direction. So eventually he's wandering, and it's been another hour or so. But it's starting to get dark, and he's kind of like, well, I had only planned on a day trip out here, so I've got, he's got like maybe a little bit of water, maybe some stuff in his backpack, but he doesn't have a flashlight. It's 97.
Brought the gun,
He
not
did
a
have a gun.
flashlight.
Yeah, I mean, but you
97
Went
degrees.
hiking off
Maybe
trail.
he had a flashlight attached to his gun.
He just said he didn't have any kind of
19.
flashlight.
Yeah.
Oh.
I would
No
say-
flashlight.
So yeah, he was several hours off track, and so he knew that he'd need to turn
hours
around.
off track.
Well, yeah, because he'd gone. Imagine this. So he gets out
He's
at
off
like
the stream now, too.
Where'd he move from again?
Okay.
He's going to go up to
Tam
visit
MacArthur
his friend's
Ridge.
grave.
Yeah.
And then was like, but
There's
what
a
if I
stream I
didn't?
can trailblaze.
yeah. So he was taking that stream. He basically follows the stream. That was like a 2-hour detour, just kind of going up the mountains. Then he gets to that spot where he sees the Bigfoot. He looks up at the Bigfoot. It takes off, and then his curiosity piqued again. He goes up and he's trying to find this thing, and he's just kind of wandering along the woods looking for any sign.
And he
of
wasn't
this thing.
thinking Sasquatch?
No, he was at this point. He was thinking Sasquatch, but he was more like, I just wanted did I see what I saw?
He
You know
wasn't
what I'm saying?
thinking,
Bigfoot?
I'm off trail, about 4 hours out of my time schedule. This is good. Let's find Bigfoot.
Dude, I'll be honest. Like
I
the
didn't bring
amount
a
of-
flashlight, and it's getting dark. I'll have
you've-
to shoot and use the muzzle flash to find my way back to my car.
That's
But
what I
I'm-
would do.
It seems a little wasteful. Then I get it.
Nah.
Is that taxpayer money?
All I'm saying, like, you've never. So okay. I'm gonna go around this circle and be like, have you ever been like hanging out somewhere and you're like,
Yeah, I've hung out many places.
yeah, and were you ever at those places and you're like, I'm gonna be here for a little bit. All of a sudden you find something really interesting and then you're just there for hours and you're like, whoa, where did the time go?
It's happened.
Okay. Truman, you ever been somewhere and you kind of lost track of time and you were kind of into, something interesting happened and then all of a sudden you were just taken.
Don't participate in this apples
No,
v
I'm just
oranges
saying.
comparison.
If it's not something that's ever happened to you, by all means.
Yeah, man, you ever been to the arcade and stayed a couple hours more? Exact same as going 4 hours into the wilderness.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, so Jeff is continuing on and he's starting to realize, hey, it's definitely getting late. I can't be staying out here too long.
Bigfoot could get him.
Yeah. Now, so coming to the notion that he had to head back, and having not seen any sign of the creature, he was just pondering if he'd even really seen it. There's still enough light, but it's getting to that, twilight, and he's
Pretty
walking.
skies.
Yeah, pretty skies. Yeah, exactly. So, the sun's off in the west side, and it's kind of going down over the flatter.
As
part
it
of the
is to
horizon.
do.
As it is
yes.
doing. I'm just trying to set the scene mostly. At this time, the sun's still out. The forest was still alive with birds and a cool breeze. And having his pistol with him, he also gave him a
Hills
sense
are
of
a
comfort.
lie.
If you shoot the Bigfoot, it won't get you as well. Even so, as Jeff went along, the atmosphere of the trail shifted. He noticed that he could no longer hear any birds or insects, for that matter. Normally a
Bigfoot
telltale
hit
sign.
the switch.
Normally, this is a telltale sign
I'm
of
gonna
a
go
predatory
spook 'em.
animal in there. But have you ever been in the woods either, and then everything just kind of stops, and you're spooked out, and you're like, oh my goodness. and then
Once.
yeah, and what was there?
Nothing. It was a burn area.
Oh, well, see? But that's it, It's like animals know that there's something they don't want to be around. They'll get out of
All
Dodge.
the burnt trees and the lack thereof of shelter
Well, I've
or
also-
protection from the sun.
Okay, tell me, do you don't think that if a predator was around or something that the animals were afraid
I
of,
don't
that
think
they
the
would
bugs
shut up?
give a fuck.
I don't know, man.
Why would the grasshopper go, it's the bear?
I mean,
Why do if it's a bird?
I was gonna say, dude, you ever gone to a cricket and then
That's
all of a
why they
sudden you
get-
hear a cricket and then you get close to the cricket, but somehow the cricket knows that it's not gonna.
It's not every cricket. It's the ones you're close to.
Yeah, but then if you're close to
The
a lot of
crickets
things, because
many,
you're
many
8
meters
foot,
ahead near the dude with the gun don't also go, shh, Bigfoot's sneaking up on him.
I don't know, man.
It sounds like embellishment.
No, it sounds more like you're trying to poke holes in the story by making everything hyperbole.
And everything quieted because of Bigfoot is not a hyperbole.
Yeah,
Everything.
big.
Yeah, and there's other things like if you had like a bear, I bet the same thing would happen, right?
Yep.
I literally just went, no. The grasshoppers aren't
You-
going to be like, shh, he's on the prowl.
Well, I mean,
They just
it's like
know.
sig-
Well, yeah, they clearly wouldn't do that because they can't talk.
And I mean,
dummy.
like, I don't know if it's just specifically
Then what do you
insects, but he's
think's
like
going on, where
something.
it's like,
there's
oh,
no,
dude,
there's
Some
no
of the ducks are getting a free
birds.
meal after the bear's done.
Do you think they'd
Besides-
be excited?
It could be birds, and birds can see and can get
Yeah,
scared.
it's
Maybe
true, they
not
can
those
see.
crickets.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So as
Maybe
Bigfoot
not
shows
those
up,
crickets.
a swarm of birds shows up to silence all the bugs, and then a swarm of small mammals shows up to silence the smaller
I
mammals.
think there's
and then,
everything. I think everything just kind of gets the vibe to like something's wrong. You know what I'm saying?
That's usually when a lightning bolt strikes.
Another dangerous thing.
See, but that's like a real danger.
Anyway, so Jeff kept on walking, but something kept pushing him kind of in the back of his mind that he should get out of there as quick as he could. Now, amidst the silence that had taken over the forest, from back in the direction he'd been traveling came the sound of a large tree breaking and then crashing into the underbrush. So, right behind him, crazy snap, and of course, like this gets his attention. So,
Be something big enough he could have taken people back to and shown.
Sasquatch.
So that'd be good, yeah.
to him,
Tree?
Yeah, if there was a fallen tree, he could take people back to it and show them that this happened. So that's
Yeah.
a good. Does that come back, or
Well,
is it just
but he's
this
breaking the
embellishment
rules
right
by
now?
trailblazing.
yeah, and he's a good man, and he doesn't want to
He's
tell
a
us-
cop. He doesn't fucking care.
Well, that's obvious.
You're just like, as a man, I respect your decision, but as a forestry man, I don't agree. Oh yeah, so Jeff actually said that the sound of that tree in that silence sounded louder than most gunshots,
Nice.
and he would know about that because he was a
Because he'd
cop.
been using it to find his way for the past 20 minutes.
Anyway, so now Jeff's nerves are on high alert. Trees fall in the forest all the time, though.
And
So-
he was around to hear it.
So the realist in Jeff wanted to believe that it was just the sound of natural forest phenomenon. But
turned
he had
around.
also just witnessed Bigfoot that day. So, he's kind of like, I'm
and
thinking.
somebody turned off the animals.
So at first he's like, all right, whatever. So from the sound of it, the tree had fallen a ways back, and, so it could have been an animal, and at least he was moving away from it, and there was some distance between them. But it was loud and pronounced, like a statement. And as he peered into the trees, he could not see anything. So Jeff quickly started continuing back towards the safety of his vehicle, but now he's still 4 hours off trail. He's going to be trailblazing down a hill in relative darkness, and now he's got something just snap some trees behind him, and he doesn't know what's going on. So Jeff quickly continued back down to the safety of his vehicle. All the while, he kept checking behind him, getting that eerie feeling of being watched from an unseen force.
By a puma.
You can't tell me that you've never felt that before.
Have you
When
never?
someone's staring at you,
Yeah,
you
and
look at 'em.
and
The
they're all
sixth
like
sense.
yeah.
right up on your grill.
Not normally when I'm alone in a forest,
Well, that's why it's weird, right?
And you can't see
Well, no,
it.
because then I'm like, oh man, I'm making myself paranoid because I'm alone in a forest.
And
My
you might
first
be high.
response
You're
is not.
never
hang on,
alone in a
I'm a week
forest.
sober.
A week?
Yeah,
Nice.
I guess technically
What's
more
this?
than now. It's soda, dude.
Oh.
You think well, he's just like Austin's over here? He's like, there's different types of sober. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Last night he was certainly not.
Yeah, no, I
sober.
wasn't that
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of sober.
That kind was not around.
But you know the feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and why do you know the feeling? Because it's terrifying. Because you know that
Someone's watching
someone's
you.
watching you.
I mean, there's a very famous song about it.
And
By
did you
Blondie,
know?
right? I'll get you. I'll get you. I'll get
That
you
was not the one I was thinking.
Or no.
Somebody's watching me, but sure.
Somebody's watching me.
Exactly.
Santa Claus watches you when you sleep.
Yep.
Oh, that's the one.
He is the world's most Popular pedophile.
I was gonna say, yeah. I was gonna make some Epstein kind of comment if I could.
I mean, 'tis the season.
I know, but I couldn't.
She's only got like 5 more days.
Yeah, before her cellmate kills her and that nobody knows what happened and
kills
everybody
herself.
falls
Before
asleep.
everyone in the criminal system falls asleep for 8 hours.
Dang it, we did it.
Not
Gotta
again.
quit happening.
Golly.
Ah,
Why do we keep
why
putting
do you-
the world's strongest sheets in these rooms?
It's like she's very good
It's
at
a
tying
good
these
fresh
knots for having dainty little hands.
All them foot rubs for Epstein.
Yeah. That's a good aside there. So further along the path as he made his way down this mountain, he heard another crash, still a ways back, but now coming from the different direction. Now this was coming off from his left side.
These are some
Was this a
really
tree or a
stealthy
rock
monsters.
this time?
So this time it still sounds like another, he
Kookaburra?
can't be 100%, but he says he knows the sound of falling trees, and that's what it kind of sounds like.
Okay, that's a continent.
But it sounds like to him
remove.
what he said too was that it had been like, it sounded like it was like a sapling had been like plucked out and then thrown.
That's a
Yeah,
sound
they're
I'm
known to do
very
that.
familiar with. The sound of a sapling being
Like
plucked in.
derooted, like that, like when you
The root tearing, like when you pull a
Yeah.
carrot out of the
Yeah,
ground.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was a bad imitation, but
But we get it, yeah. So the crash came from his right side, which indicated to him that whatever it was now circling him. So now he's heard, I think, about three separate crashes, all while he's been
behind
moving.
left and right.
Yep. So it's begun.
Really not a stealthy creature, this.
Let's just say Bigfoot, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
big.
intimidating him.
It's Bigfoot, and that's the thing. So there's like actual apes that have
In
been known
Oregon?
to like no, but I'm just saying like okay, so let's just say that Bigfoot is some type of great ape or some type of offshoot of that. When they have a
Gigantopithecus?
similar, like when they have a similar type of way of dealing with like
Is
things.
him
Behavior?
arriving
Yes.
at his car soon? Like, does that happen within the next 20, 30
he's
minutes?
moving and
So he's 3.5 hours down from this? Why is it
Well, he's-
chasing him still?
no, he's
Is it really bored?
he right now it's probably only
he need
been
a
like,
hobby on the
it's only been
weekends?
probably 20 minutes since he turned around and started heading towards his car.
It's a very full mountain lion.
So he's 3.5 hours away still.
Well,
From
he's
his
three.
car.
He's 3.5 hours off his normal route that he would have been taking. So I'm guessing.
It's
so let's just
dusk, and
imagine.
this man is 5-ish hours from his
Yeah,
car.
I'm saying. Well, no, I think
a
that he's probably less
bright
than that.
fella.
It's just that he was going, this way, and then he went because he was still heading in the direction he wanted to go.
He's not on the
but-
stream anymore.
This is what would happen
No.
to you if you saw Bigfoot. I'd be like,
Well,
Pat's
that's
been
exactly-
missing in the
I've
mountains
been-
for 3 weeks, and then we'd find you starved in the middle of nowhere because you tried to find Bigfoot.
But dude, see, okay, not. It makes sense that he's out there doing what I'm doing. Because I would be curious if I saw Bigfoot and you want to
you
go.
would. You'd be
Exact-
like, I was Bigfoot, and I'd be like, that
and
was
so
not
was Jeff.
Bigfoot.
I see it. So
It's
is
called squatching.
Yeah. And so is Jeff Boiler, and he's out there doing what I would be doing. Anyway, so now he's 20 minutes back. He's heading down the
If
trail.
you saw Sasquatch, you'd look too.
Yeah, you would.
If I thought I saw Sasquatch, I'd be like, well, that's it. I'm crazy. I'm done. It's officially happened. We're done.
Knowing you would go seek proof that you are crazy, though.
Yeah.
And then
I'd
you would
probably
go,
say
and
proof.
then you'd be like, doesn't seem like there's anything up here. I'm
Torn
just
in
going to turn
half.
around. And then all of a
That'd
sudden
be
you start
great.
hearing,
That'd be really good proof.
and then you start hearing, then you'd start hearing, all these crashes, and you'd be like, well, that could not be, I don't know. I'm definitely crazy, and I'm making it crazier.
I mean, first I'd have to be 4 hours off trail when I was going to visit my buddy's grave, but I was like, meh, he's dead. He'll be there tomorrow.
I mean, he did live there now, so he probably did kind of come up with that. He's like, wait a minute. Anyway, so this thing is now circling him. So Jeff was quoted as saying, the idea that he could see me, but I couldn't see him made me very uncomfortable.
Should've
And
brought
that
a
it was
flashlight.
a prescription for an ambush. And this is, of course, a guy, who's from the armed
Doc,
services.
I'm going to need one prescription for an ambush. And stat.
That was his literal words, though. So picking up the pace he made for the trailhead, and to his horror, another crash came from the other side now. The intelligence...
Okay, so he made it to the trailhead. So he's back on trail. He has covered
Yes.
the 2+ hours of distance away from the trail, and this thing is still...
he's picking up the pace and making for the trailhead. So he's still got kind of an
not
idea.
on it.
All I know is that he's headed back. He's terrified. I guess his military mind was like, I can't see him, and he's following me, and he's moving around me like well enough that I can't see him. That's ambush. Like he could have circled me, and he could be pushing me towards
Well, it's very obvious. There's no way any sort of PTSD could have some sort of impact on.
Well, this is the thing. I don't know what.
Here.
I don't. He was in the Marines, but I don't think that he ever saw like active combat.
Oh, so he's always been scared of having something happen.
I don't know if it's scared. Maybe he's just like a good guy, and he ended up seeing Bigfoot, and now he's traveling through the woods, and he's being tracked by the thing.
Is he a good guy? Can we look him up?
I mean, you probably. Yeah, I don't think he's nothing. Nobody had anything bad to say about the young man. Well, he was probably like 20-something when this happened, and that was in 97, so, a good amount of time ago. Anyway, so picking up the pace and making for the trailhead, he realized this intelligent creature was actively stalking him through the woods. Now these crashes are getting closer and louder and, like, closer together. As it's crashing behind him, he breaks out into a clearing, and he ends up almost running straight into a deer. And this deer, looks kind of at him.
Did the deer not get the message? You're supposed to be turned off and out of the way. Bigfoot's in town.
Well, that's the thing, dude. He's moving faster, So he gets up to this clearing. He ends up running into this clearing, and this
ran into a deer.
The deer literally looks.
That's astonishing.
I know, and now
stupid deer.
Well, don't worry, because the deer did something very smart afterwards. He looks at him, and then he kind of gets a freaked out look, and he looks behind in the direction that all
he's
those crashes.
He's looking at the animal that just ran into him. Of course, the deer's freaking out.
Yeah, he's looking behind him now. So he starts.
Yeah, no.
Turns off.
The deer,
and then,
known for deer in headlights moments, definitely went. Oh, it's just a human.
Yes, exactly. And then it takes off. So it takes off in the opposite direction that Jeff was heading.
Male or female deer?
Probably a female. Apparently, the thing put its nose to the air in the direction the sounds were coming and then took off like a shot. And that was a bad omen, in Jeff's opinion. So just then, the loudest and closest tree break happened just outside of his field. It happened just outside of his field of view, right outside the clearing, and Jeff was forced to continue his retreat down the mountainside. So as he ran, the crashing began again and kept circling him this whole time. So
at this point, there's a trail of uprooted and broken trees for 2 hours into this mountain, and he never went back, nothing like that.
Yeah, so
to get a yarder up there.
But mercifully, he did find and arrive at the trailhead and sped off in his car.
He didn't get in the car and wait?
No.
Like every good
He
horror
was like,
movie?
no, buddy. He was like, not
The car
this time.
didn't.
Yeah, and he also
Didn't
said.
die?
So at the end, literally though, he's like running out there, and he said that the trees maybe 100 feet or 100 yards from the actual edge of the woods that just stopped. He was just waiting for the thing to just come out and just straight grab him at that point. So then he gets in his car and he took off, and he has never been back there since.
He never made it to his buddy's grave again?
Not that
Man,
I don't
not
know.
only did he not want to see his buddy's grave, he really wasn't committed to the search at all. He got spooked once and gave up.
I mean, dude, I don't know. I think if I was, because that's the thing. Okay, let's go back to the fact.
No, okay. Now here's my question.
okay.
Say you thought you saw Bigfoot.
Yes.
This all happened.
Yes.
Are you going back? Because if not, you don't
Depends
care.
how scared
I
you got.
would.
Then you don't care.
No, I
he
think-
didn't care. This is either a made-up story or he didn't care.
I-
It wasn't actually Bigfoot. He's like, I was there.
The other thing, even though it was sunny that day, how windy was it? Because if it was windy, the trees could be falling and snapping too.
Yeah, it wasn't indicated. He just said it was the most beautiful day I'd seen in the Cascades.
Beautiful windy day.
I don't think so. I think it was sunny
A
and bright
beautiful,
and clear,
blustery
and not
day.
a thing was moving through the trees. Because remember, also he was saying that it got all quiet, and I don't think he's like not even the wind was a blowing, So
Unless that was
As the
the
heat
gas
turns
put
on.
before the storm.
I mean, that is we'd have to let's go back to figure out what the weather was like.
I mean, what's
97.
the date?
I don't know.
We can look it up.
It's just
Apparently summer
1997.
of 97.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was nice.
Cascadian Mountains of Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Higher
Never
elevation.
visited his friend's grave. Never took stock of the day it happened.
Well, I mean, he did. So the thing is, he did end up. He had gone to the gravesite before, because he had actually buried this friend of his years prior.
Oh, he murdered him.
I was about to say, is this a murder mystery?
No.
Shit. So
This-
is his friend haunting him?
No, it was. Oh yeah. he's
In
just like,
reality, it's yeah.
You didn't come to my grave.
killed me.
I thought it was more. He's just
Flying
like,
through the trees.
he's just going up the hill, and he's like, "What the fuck, bud? Supposed to be coming to see me."
I like that explanation more than Bigfoot. That his shunned dead friend. That's still dumb though.
I don't know. I'm because I'm looking at it's okay, if you got an animal and it's trying to make, and of course I've heard other stories because I listen to a lot of Bigfoot stuff, that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and did they not talk about where it's like, okay, so they'll throw rocks at you, or
Yeah.
they'll do like deterrence
Or trees. Yeah, or knock them down.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, that's an intimidation factor.
Yeah.
And I think even in what is it called?
Man,
Was it-
what's something you can
was it-
do in a forest?
what was Finding
to spook
Bigfoot?
another person?
Yeah, Finding
Finding
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot, didn't they
Rocks,
say
they
that
didn't
they'd
know what it
had
was.
like big ones
Like,
charge at them, like straight up, like
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, you think about it, it's like
That's
you
a
got
very human thought, huh?
say they're
That's what a
like
gorilla does.
yeah, it's like a silverback, you know, and it's like imagine it's a big, rugged,
Yes.
rugged Bigfoot male, and he's like, get
He's in a
out of
rut.
here! Yeah, oh dude,
rutting.
oh dude,
Cold temperature
and he
gorilla.
will kill the fuck out of
It's a
you.
bald, pale
It looks like
primate.
Krampus.
Oh,
So it's
spoiler.
just a person who's been living in the woods and has cancer, just bald, no hair, running
No,
around.
this is the perspective of Bigfoot looking at Jeff.
Oh.
But I mean, even so that this creature's probably just being like, because he sees this guy, he's obviously out of the trail, so this thing's probably used to like people being only on certain spots in certain areas at certain times. Here Jeff is, sees him one first off, and then
This
starts
Bigfoot's got,
actively.
like an acre or two of land that he's just like, that's mine.
Yeah,
I'm
he
gonna
has
have
his
to-
own territory.
I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to
it's like
scare
wolves.
Yeah.
They have, like,
everything out of there.
it's like what? It's like they need 90 miles for a whole pack of wolves, 90 square miles or something.
Yeah, and they won't fucking go where other ones are.
Yeah, there's like an unspoken rule. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Just
And
like
I'm-
humans.
Yeah, so now
You know
now
what's
imagine
different about wolves and Bigfoots?
Nothing.
You can
Yeah.
go and see a wolf.
that is true.
Have you ever seen a wolf
Yeah.
in the
In
wild?
real life?
Not in the wild,
Oh.
but there's that sanctuary up in the mountains.
To the zoo.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, there's the like wolf sanctuary in the mountains or whatever.
Yeah. Did you know out in like
we'll give it. Yeah, well.
East Colorado, the
Oh,
Tiger King's
at
tigers
the
are out there? And
the
lions.
wildlife, the animal
Okay.
sanctuary. I used to
It's a-
do
it's a
that was
ti-
the
it's
one
an
that I
animal
used to do
sanctuary.
catering at UNC for. Yeah, they have it's called the Wild Animal
Okay.
Sanctuary. It's like
Oh, wait a minute. You're talking the
Yeah,
like
what's
Terry
the city?
Bison Ranch up by Wyoming, right?
no.
Because they have a lot of exotics.
They do,
up there,
yeah.
Too.
No, this place is like
Yeah, it's called the Wild Animal. It's
This
in
place is
what's
like
the
outside it.
what is the name of the city it's in?
Yeah.
yeah, it stumped me too.
Do they have there just like this is what's his name's Tigers? You
yeah,
can see him here.
Tiger Kings.
Oh, dude, I bet do they charge you extra to see that?
No.
It's not like a rotating exhibit at
Do
the
they have? Do they
museum.
have, do they have to send in like animal counselors to be like, yeah, these tigers have been through some shit.
So this will be the first filmed trial run trying to get the tigers off of their methamphetamine addiction. You've never seen withdrawals till you've seen a tiger on withdrawal symptoms. It's very
He's just like he just opens the bathroom and it's just like a
shaking and vomiting
just
into the
has like
litter
a-
box.
has a bunch of those like ketamine tranquilizers in him. He's like, oh no, he got into the stash again.
He's developing a.
You only
different
get
addiction.
one of those a week. That was a cool aside, Jesse. Good on that.
Thanks.
Let's just say, this man is either what would you say, a liar?
I think he has a need for attention, maybe.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I
Now,
feel like he just
what
wanted
do
something
you-
more exciting from his afternoon where he went off trail and felt like an
I
idiot
think he
for
saw
getting
one.
lost.
Okay, I agree.
Because
Now what-
everything it follows the same shit.
It's kind of
Man,
like,
it's almost like there's some sort of consistent story that people can tell, and the
Mhm.
same
Well, dude,
people
if-
will always think it's real.
Oh yeah. Well, what happens if you're like, man, dude, I was chased down by a bear, and then it got really upset that I got between it and its cubs, and then somebody's like, oh yeah, oh I heard the same story from the other
Well,
guy.
yeah, we've heard people who've gotten mauled by bears, and then we found them in the stomach of the bear. We don't have people who've been mauled by Bigfoot and then found in the stomach of Bigfoot.
Yeah,
I think
because
it's
they
because
hide
Either
'em.
they're
Yeah, well-
immortal beings, and we're looking for a demigod, or they don't exist.
Well, there is the two.
They could be immortal.
I do. That is
Yeah.
a hypothesis of that.
That's one more layer of stupid on there.
No,
now it's
no,
religious.
That's a god
No.
worth praying to.
The one that lets Bigfoot run around and do stuff. But okay,
He's a time traveler, they say.
they do. Or they,
He can
no,
teleport.
there's one. There was a story.
the conspiracy by adding more.
Native Americans will say that they
Yeah,
like
he can
shoot them and then they
teleport.
go into the middle of the, a
And then,
field
like,
and the blood trail
cameras-
stops and
They're like supernatural, apparently.
I'm more along the lines of they're just super like they're like intelligent like primates, but they're also more intelligent because some people, well,
We had this discussion the last
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Well, all of our remains, any dump we take, anything that leaves our body, our hair must be collected and bagged and stored and hidden. We cannot leave any trace. If you happen to scrape a tree, make sure to take an animal's paw and scrape it over it, because you can't have that. Like,
Yeah, it's
but
completely
but, like,
logical.
but people are not like out there like looking for Bigfoot all like like.
Oh, really? Sure
I'm saying-
sounded like Jeff was looking.
No, it didn't sound like Jeff was looking. He said he just wanted to take a nice hike, and it
Go
just
see a
happened.
grave.
Just so happened that he saw a Bigfoot. Just so happened. And okay, take this into account. Does him being a police officer mean nothing to you? Is he
yeah,
just a
that means
lying
nothing to
policeman?
me.
He's
Yeah,
just a
100%.
Depends on
It's not
his
like there's a
district,
ton
maybe.
of legal records of police lying
'Cause
or
there's-
anything.
I mean, in police situations,
Yeah, this is even better.
Okay.
No one's there to tell him
'Cause there
he's
is-
lying.
there is also people always go to the ethos of it's like, okay, so there's a civilian like you, me, or Truman or whatever.
Yeah, man, I don't
And
care if you're a
then there's
civilian or
Jesse.
you're a politician
Jesse
or a
spent-
cop. You're
Jesse
all
spent
the
6
same
years in the
level.
Marine Corps, and you're like, okay, who would we trust more?
Me.
Just based on,
Yeah, man, because
civilian
you
or
got trained to be in the Marine Corps, so you're better at identifying wood apes.
Things-
What sense is
potential
that?
threats. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that I'm trying to get at the ethos, and you're just like you're like, well, he was a Marine, but I don't care about any of that because he's still alive.
How is that relevant?
Well, it's just like
How is that relevant
because
to
there's
Bigfoot?
Well, one they have there's
He's
a
more
character that's like-
believable. He's a Marine. Why
Yeah.
is that more?
I think that there's a character building that goes on
Yeah.
in there, and it's like, why would you lie, especially if you're in a brotherhood that's so tight like that, where you could be made fun of and been crazy and such.
Yes.
Because
I'm
you
just saying-
got bored and you got lost in the mountains, and instead of saying I got lost for 4 hours in the mountains, you say I got chased by Bigfoot in the mountains. It's if you're saving face one way, you're saving face a different
I
way.
don't know what I just because it sounded like he was just a regular day and he wanted to go out there and he wanted to have a good time, and then he just happened to see Bigfoot, got a little
Yeah,
curious,
he was
and
gonna
then
go
he
visit
wandered
his friend's
into
cave.
it.
He got lost, and he
Uh-huh.
made up a story to make up for it
No.
instead of saying.
I don't- well, I-
No,
because he wasn't
Why
going
the
to-
fuck would you make up you got lost because you saw a Bigfoot? You
Unless
would
you
say
saw-
you got lost.
Or would you? If someone who's willing to make up a story about Bigfoot, you think they're going to be like, well, I got lost trying to get to my friend's grave, who I buried, so I should know how to get there. Or you're like, no. I willingly left the path, did not visit my friend like I intended,
Well,
went
because-
2 hours off path to find a Bigfoot on accident,
No,
and
yes,
then
you don't-
went
what
2
is that?
more hours to continue to try and find the Bigfoot, then went, gosh diddly dang, I better head back to my car.
He got chased by the Bigfoot too.
And he saw the Bigfoot
Yeah.
after so the whole thing was
It
that
mirrored him.
he was
Well,
trying
no,
to take
he
a heading
did
to go
the scene
to.
from Harry and the Hendersons where they both go, and then he tried to find it.
Yeah. Because the thing took off like crazy fast, and he's like, dude, well,
It's faster than anything possible.
have you ever so you've never so this
You
one
think something super smart that can hide every trace of itself is gonna go, what is that?
Yeah.
Just like the intelligent deer that went, oh, it's a human.
Well, yeah, because the deer, it's like the guy's off trail. It's probably like downwind of him per chance. Like, what's the thing about like in
You
hunt?
don't want your scent being wafted
Fucking
on the
downwind.
wind.
Well, yeah,
but-
okay. So and there's no scenario where this deer could have been surprised by Jeff.
No chance. Well, there's entirely a chance, but
Yeah. And now
chances
I
of
don't
deer
also
not
know-
recognizing Jeff
So
tend to be low.
And I don't know, like he's told the story like he just kind of popped out and it was like maybe like 10 yards, like right over there by the fridge, and like
That's not 10 yards.
and not like 10 feet, whatever. And over here, maybe like a couple yards that way is just like a line of trees. So he's broken out into this and he stops and he's like, whoa, there's something there. And then the thing kind of is like, what the? And then looks behind him, freaks out, takes off. So
So if it's that far away, how do you know it looked over his shoulder to look at Bigfoot?
Because
what
he's
if it was
looking at it this
alerted
way.
and
He's
then
looking
it
at
just
it.
picked its neck up the rest of the way like deer do, and then left?
But
They're usually kinda-
He made it out to seem like it was looking at something behind him, and that it was.
Oh, and I'm
more
sure it
spooked to
got
him.
spooked and was suddenly alert and then focused in on the direction of what it was hearing and then seeing a threat
Yeah,
and immediately went, I'm prey, and bounced.
yeah. There's also never mind. That's never mind. So I'm on the.
And he never went back? He never went and
I-
looked for the 25 trees this thing felled chasing him?
He might have gone back. The story itself, he didn't.
Terminates
He
there.
left. Yeah, he took off, and that was his experience of being chased in the woods. Subsequently, I don't know if he went back
But he
or if
doesn't
he
know
made
if he
any
was
action.
being chased.
It
He
sounded like
determined
he.
was being
I mean,
chased.
I would make the
Convinced
same
himself,
determination.
maybe.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. So if you now, let's just say what if you are? Let's just say that there's no Bigfoot, but he did hear all the sounds in the woods.
I would start thinking different animal.
Yeah.
Or
I'd want to look
weather
at the
event.
trees and see what's on the trees. If they're getting knocked down by an animal, it's not going to look like a tree fell over. There's going to be some indication there was something was doing that.
Now, of
And
course,
if they're not dead trees, they're gonna break and snap differently than it's dead timber and
but isn't
Yeah,
it
if you
also
could go
like
back and find like
as opposed to
fresh
crap.
trees that are split, in weird places and in unconventional ways.
Yeah, that's when you
some
get
evidence
freaked
of
out.
something.
They
Now,
found that before.
they have? Well, yeah, he's right. They do have stick breaks, but they, some of them are like, this does seem like an odd.
And they
stick
have the
break,
forensic
and
cleanup from the monkey, investigative crime unit out there, getting rid of it so that nobody knows it's Bigfoot and replacing it with bear claw.
Now,
were there any? This is my biggest question.
Yeah.
Were there any other aside from trees breaking and the apparent appearance of a big hairy something in the woods? What other noises were made? Because most animals do make certain noises.
Yeah, there was no like vocalization. There are like people who say that they've heard Bigfoot howls or Bigfoot, hoots and things like that.
Whoop.
He didn't say yep a whoop or something like
Remember,
that.
man, this is the stealthiest creature that's ever existed. It doesn't shed. Or
Maybe
has
it does,
to pick
but then
up
you
every individual
Dude, have you
hair.
ever gone like try and find a hair in the middle of the woods?
Yeah, when's the last time you saw deer hair?
Yeah.
Bet you
or
can find one.
on a
Because
carcass.
we can find deer.
Ah, yes. Well,
I bet you couldn't find one.
I bet you could.
that's not on a live animal
Yeah.
or a
dead
dead
one.
animal that just fell off an animal. That's
I'm not saying
independent of it.
I'm equipped to do it. I do not study animals in the field. Someone who's out there studying an animal in the field is going to be looking for that kind of evidence. They're not going to be looking for.
They actually use drones for a lot of this now too.
Yeah.
Talking to
There
smart
have
people.
been some drone videos of
They
people
also
seeing-
have to have the cover, and now they have to. You got the Bigfoots with the rifle shooting the drones out of the sky. It's
Drone
getting real
hunting
hard to stay
Sasquatch. That sounds
perfectly
like a
hidden
sport.
from all things forever.
That would be kind of cool though. If like, what if they have like slingshots? Like, what if they're
Bigfoot's
not?
just Wakanda.
Okay, so let's just do this. So I'm gonna go out there and I'd be like, I think that being a Marine is more credible than normal.
He's a police officer though, right?
He is as well. He became a deputy sheriff because of his ties to the military. Actually,
Which you'll note, neither one is related to large mammals.
no, but
he's a large
it
mammal.
does.
Well, no, he's a mid-sized mammal. This thing was 8 foot.
Yeah, I don't know how big Jeff was exactly.
Everything's big
I
and
was
hairy to
watching this
Jeff.
thing on TV the other day about giants. It's pretty interesting.
Okay, giants like giants of Kandahar.
Andre the
Oh,
Giant.
you mean the Norse god in the cave?
No, they're from Malta.
Malta giants.
Oh,
are
like
they-
proto-human type stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I have seen like there was this one of those things where it's like the biggest skeletons ever found,
Yeah.
and yeah, they have like a whole size comparison. Some of them are freaking big. Like some of them
Fucking
like
huge.
yeah, they're like, and it's like I don't know I don't know the deal about that. But apparently, are they all human? Did they ever discover if they're actual human remains or if it's just like a bigger?
Homo
They
something.
don't know.
Because there are smaller humans that were around the same time,
Yeah.
or Homo species, Homo
Yeah.
Homo
In Vietnam.
floresiensis, yeah, or well, Indonesia was where
There
they
were a
found the
lot
one.
of hominids.
But no,
There's
there's well, you're talking about
Been helping.
Jesse's talking about I think the orang pendek or
Yeah.
there's different whatever, but it's kind of creepy because you're like, is it a type of ape or is it just like an offshoot of humans that just kind of like never
I mean, if
bridged and it's
if
just
we
been
have
living
skeletons,
in
we can
nomadic.
test.
I think they do have a skeleton of it.
Well, they have a skeleton of
Then they
Homo
can test.
floresiensis. Yes,
They can run.
but it's well, I mean,
wait,
but
so they don't.
no, I mean, so okay, so there's in places like Indonesia and Vietnam and like Southeast Asia, there's something that they call the orang pendek that is like orange and like 3 foot.
It's like a mini Sasquatch.
It's like, yeah, or like a mini, like some sort of orangutan thing. I don't know what it is. It's described like an ape-like creature, a small hobbit-ish ape-like creature,
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
or like the Sumatra. But okay, so
The
these
Sumatran rat monkey.
creatures like live there, and so, it's kind of a question: is it a mystical beast? Could it be a whatever the heck? I'm just, or like a
you
human.
believe in fairies?
No.
Are you looking at me to believe in fairies? Because
We're not part of that Fae club, bro.
that one's so.
That's a little Wiccan for me.
Yeah, that's going like it's like let me go to the world, the Lord of the Rings.
Although I guess you can get a degree in fairy identification from Iceland or whatever.
Oh well, that's
Really?
elves. That's different.
Oh,
Elves
that
is
elves?
different.
Oh,
yeah,
you're right.
which is yeah.
That's still faithful.
But it's-
some
well,
crap.
and
Fairies
it's-
derived from elves.
Yeah, but I
through
think
time and became
they mean like
smaller.
they say fairies, but I think that just means some sort of like weird paranormal entity. So I'm definitely in the camp where I think that this guy was chased by Bigfoot or something, because I think that Bigfoot is either a close relative of a human hominid or a homo something, like something in our family, and it's just like it's not quite.
And it's still the stealthiest thing
Because it's got
that's ever been made.
It's more intelligent than your average ape, but it's less intelligent than humans.
Or it's smarter
Who
than
said
us.
humans are smart?
I mean, it's going to be
Well,
need to
okay,
be
let's-
many,
we
many,
go to
many
the moon,
times
okay?
smarter than us to be accounting for
A few of
every
us might be
movement
smart.
they make.
Okay,
so
what
they
I should
can't
say
be
is
seen by
maybe like the
anything.
threshold that we've come to expect in humans is set by humans. So let's just say,
Fair enough.
But then again, people I like what Jesse was saying. Other things that's like it could be smarter than humans, and it could be just like, well, we know that these things or these humans, like they've wiped out other people and other species because we've lived in the woods for thousands of years, along other things that people have extincted and hunted to extinction and things. So I don't know. Maybe there's that. Of course,
Extincted.
I'm putting a lot of stock into what the heck this is. But all I'm saying is I think if it's a creature, this guy was probably chased by it. It sounded like it was doing all the things that other people have reported.
I agree.
And the mind is a powerful thing.
Yes.
I think he's full of shit.
Just because you don't believe, you think that he literally got
I
bored
think
and
he
was
scared himself. He was lost off trail. He scared himself, and he made up a story.
but he's a Marine too, and
I
a
don't
cop.
give a you can be whatever the fuck you want and still make up a story.
I guess, but see, I don't go into the woods and get scared.
Because he's a badass.
Yeah.
Would
And
you like
I-
to hear a story, Pat?
That you got scared in the woods?
Actually, yeah.
Okay,
I
tell
think
me
it's
how.
related.
Yeah, let's do it. Tell me the story.
So this happened back Wyoming, Snowy Range, circa 2013, 2014.
Oh yeah.
Lot of trails up there, a lot of unmarked forest access trails. Not necessarily national forest trails, but just forest access for logging. We weren't riding up there. There's been some wildfires, some burn areas. And coincidentally, we brought a map. It wasn't up to date. We ended up pretty far off of anything we could recognize as where we were going. And we got to a point we came to a water crossing we couldn't navigate on motorcycles.
Okay.
4-stroke motorcycles, just to clarify. We went ahead, we shut them down, got quiet kind of at the river crossing, tried to kind of get our bearings and figure out what we
This
wanted
guy's
to
got a
do because
Bigfoot
we're starting to... Yeah. Because we were starting to run low on gas, and same kind of thing. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Even though it's summer, it's going to be dark by 9, and we know we're at least 3 hours out from where our camp is, depending on how we try to navigate our way back. While the bikes are shut off and we're at this water crossing, and it's a burn area. There is nothing there but torch dirt and sticks in the ground that are charred black.
And this is when you heard the.
And this is where we heard a noise. No tree break-ins, none of this, no thumps over here, and didn't see anything. And it was dead quiet,
Yeah.
like this guy's talking about. Bigfoot came and turned off all the insects and the birds.
Oh, no, the fire turned off all the insects and birds.
In this case, I'm very sure that's the case. And it was quiet. It was an overcast day, but there was no wind this day either. It was just still. And there was this, I would love to try and replicate it, but it was just this, like a howler monkey type of just, that was terrible. It could not identify what the hell it was. It wasn't a bear. It wasn't an elk bugle. It wasn't a moose. It wasn't a dying mountain lion. Like, could not identify it.
Yeah.
I didn't exactly grow up hunting, but I kind of went off my dad because he did a lot of hunting. He's like, what the hell was that? It's like, oh, okay, now I'm concerned. And we went ahead and we kind of sat there for a minute just trying to be quiet to see if we could see anything moving or maybe make out if it was a person trying to cry for help and they'd been mauled by something, just try to figure out what it was. We waited there for maybe half an hour.
So you didn't immediately think Bigfoot?
Not immediately.
See, you're already more trustworthy than Jeff. He saw a furry thing and was like, it's Bigfoot!
Well, vision versus sound. I would say seeing something instills a little bit more fill instantaneously than hearing something. Well,
You
Can
also
I-
have a second person.
I'm gonna.
And
So
then
this
we have
story is already far better.
So I'm gonna play a thing for you, and you can tell me if this sounds
Okay.
like anything that you've.
I have more to the story, by the way.
That was great.
that in the background there?
That one did sound like monkeys. I'll say. If that was. A
I
jungle.
don't think that was what it's supposed to. I don't know what the.
Well, so let me continue real quick, and we can all debate on what we heard.
Yeah.
Anyways, we hung out for another 30 minutes. Didn't really hear anything. We got ready to start the motorcycles, and we heard another weird ogled sound again. And this was the Snowy Ranges. It's entirely possible
Yeah.
things augmented sound waves off the mountains differently, and what was a normal sound because of how it reverberated off the mountains was different to us. Heard a sound we couldn't identify again. Won't lie, got a bit more spooked, and we're like, let's go ahead and get going, because it's not exactly sunny out either. Turned on the motorcycles, kept to the new game plan, and got out of there, made it back to camp. 2 years later, after just always having this story in the back of the mind, like, what the hell was it sound we heard on that ride? My sister was studying boreal toads at CSU.
Oh no, it's a toad.
Boreal toads.
Boreal toads.
Yes.
Here, what's a boreal toad sound like?
And I believe it's a boreal toad mating call is what we heard. And it wasn't a swampy water crossing, so that all tracks because it was about
Ooh,
11,000
here we
feet.
Here we go. You ready?
Yes.
That's what you heard?
I said mating call. It screeches. It is very not pleasant to the ears.
Ooh, this must be it because there's two frogs on top of each other.
That might very well be it.
Well, I mean, that does imply mating, maybe.
It says boreal toads, June 6, 2019.
That's it.
Yeah, that'd be a sound I'd be like, what the hell? That sounds like a fax machine. Like somebody.
Well, and imagine getting it at high volume, can't identify where it's from, might be sounding off of something wrong, so it starts distorting the sound on top of how unpleasant that is to begin with. That's what we were able to determine after 2 years of debating.
Actually, so
Crazy.
I was in Vietnam. I was
Back in Nam.
That Marines is really getting him that brotherhood experience. He encourages so much.
Man, he got so into it. Now he's just stealing valor.
but I was in was it north of Chiang Mai, Thailand, and we were doing this trek through this wilderness area to go to these villages up in the mountains. The rain started pouring, and we were all in these above these what do you call them, rice paddies?
Yeah.
And you just hear in the mud just. I don't even know. It was, and it
A
wasn't
really
even,
dark, guttural kind of
yeah, and it
croak.
wasn't. It sounded kind of like, you ever heard gators? You know, like gator growl, like that.
Oh, yeah.
Mating call.
Or it's in the back of the
Like
throat.
kind of popping.
Well, either way, it's that kind of guttural thing. So we had no idea what it was, and the guide was like, "Yeah, those are
Toads.
really fat, frogs." And we're like, "Okay, makes sense, I guess." But it's just funny because you'd see it was just all these rice paddies that were just kind of
Full of water. and
and
mud.
layered down, and
What's the range of those toads?
I don't think they make it out there. Is all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Those are pretty domestic to the United States. Or I should say the Rocky Mountains.
I don't know if it's
That was Wyoming.
strictly that, but okay. Well, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Boreal toad noises. All right, team. So we have one guy who's skeptical, two guys who believe. What about you, Truman? I figure you're probably you got a skeptical eye for this one.
Plausible deniability?
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
What the fuck's that?
That's where the boreal toad
Toad's
could be.
range.
Whoa.
Snowy range on the
But
north end of
then
that
was the
piece.
boreal toad also cracking all them trees? Now the
Like
other,
I said, he never
no.
went back to prove that happened.
I mean,
or
yeah, that
any of it happened.
and that is true,
so-
and that is the
That's where I've got denial.
yeah. I guess you're right, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't think that we could just I need to find some really good fake Bigfoot stories out there.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, that's any of them, Pat.
No.
Yeah.
This is where you say no again.
No.
And with that, it looks like we got
Welcome to 2022.
2022.
22, a 50-50 split. Who'd have seen it coming?